got a couple of trailers with me. I'd like to show. I'm going to change it up. So some of it's Afrikaans, some of it's English. I started off with Afrikaans and then changed the so I'd like to show. Can we show? I want to get strong with you. Yep.
Still doesn't check the audio from Black Magic.
And who we are and like where we are in our film industry, but rather than embrace this is what we can do, let's do it and let's enjoy it. So it was a tiny little group of people that put it together, fun to make. We went out for budget reasons, no, but also the amount of energy it just adds, and it's actually one of my favorite is to have a camera on my hands. I feel you can move more instinctively with your characters and you can kind of figure things out as you go along, as the cast do. I'm not a big fan of putting marks on the floors for cast members. Like I like going around and doing things unless it's something very specific. So yeah, that's kind of. Then the brief was also we came up with a little bit of a visual style book, and it was based on fire and ice. The relationship between the two was fire and ice. She's hot, he's cold. Then he's hot, she's cold. So it was kind of like this constant battle between, and I worked it into the lighting palette, and production designer worked it into the production design, and it was a lot of fun in the end. Everything came together very nicely. Cool. I don't know I guess we'll do questions later. Is that okay? Unless someone has something right now they want to ask. Nothing? Good. Moving along. Let me just get my list out. Okay, cool. I want to change it up with something Afrikaans. Can you play the trailer for Belade vir 'n Enkeling? which is a film factory production I did a few years ago. CL was involved in it. But yes, let's play the trailer and then I'll talk about it.
Die komitee het besluit om die Masonprys vir letterkunde aan Jacques Reinhardt toe te ken. Dames en here, Jacques Reinhardt.
Jy moes gesê die bioskoop sien.
Die raaisel oor waar Jacques Reinhardt hom tans bevind verdiep. Volgens die polisie is daar geen spoor van Reinhardt in Johannesburg.
Wat peel uit Jacques Reinhardt se kotsemmer?
Sy ex-uitgewer haat hom.
Hoe's hy?
Sy het net geweet wat goed is vir hom, as dit dalk nog hier. Wat doen jy? Sy selfoon, is daar nie dalk 'n
Die
leidraad?
laaste SMS was aan Lena Oukamp en Jan Paul Otto. Hy het net gesê vriende vir altyd.
Jacques ooit met jou gepraat oor sy bloedtyd, 97 tot 99.
Dis net vir ons ek mekaar uit is. Ek het hom omtrent eers 10 jaar later weer gesien.
Wat soek julle hier?
Meneer Otto, my bronne sê dat Jacques Reinhardt verdwyn het net om sy boek te bemagtig.
Dis nie waar hy is nie.
Nou, hoe is hy dan?
Jacques is 'n goeie mens. Eintlik te goed.
Jy moet 'n naam kry.
Generaal.
Ek doop jou. Storiemaker.
Vriende vir altyd.
Vriende vir altyd.
Ons is vir ewig.
Praat die waarheid, Lena. Feit is, ek het baie meer opgekrap as wat jy bereid was om te sê. Hoe is jy, Jacques Reinhardt?
Okay, I'm sure a lot of you've seen it or not seen it. So what I really like about Bellardo is something that jumps out at me, and I don't know how much, I mean the technical stuff I'll leave for later when we do the questions, but in terms of from a creative point of view, Quentin Kroch, who directed it, is really good at shot development and transitions, and it's something that it's like a trademark for him. I think it's in all his movies, and I really like it as well. Like any excuse to move the camera for the right reasons is amazing, you know. So taking your audience through scenes seamlessly, so they don't get jutted by effects and things all the time, but it kind of like create this very nice flow and rhythm in a movie. And I was really happy with it. It's a total different feel to Hard to Get, which is also nice, changing it up. I really like that. It's a much more classical feel. And it was obviously an insanely fun project to do in terms of researching and going back, because we all grew up with Ballard on TV, and just going to all the locations and watching the series again. And it was like a little bit of a no-brainer when I asked if I want to do Ballard. I was like, yes, of course. You guys mad. So that was really cool. In terms of, it was a much more classical approach, I guess. I can't remember what our visual style book was for it. It was, I think we actually had two, one for the present, one for the past. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great little project to be part of. Cool, guys. Now I'm going to change it up again, totally different to, can we show a movie that showed a few years back here in Number. With that trailer, please.
I feel staring with her. Ik voel het rood. Ik voel het hard key. Dat was niet genoeg. En hij stond in de waters naar conviction. Ja, zo vertellen de binnen. Paperwork. Yeah. 2 years neshuna lento le. Impilo zethu lezizela. Umuntu esifakela manje manje labasenga lawo. Awubuke. Sithina simashile mina na escape lapha. Amapolitician bonke abagibelile mina na masikho. The country is always the same. Amaro. Legislature. From Shafu-Premier. Gentlemen of the jury, hier, meer. Are you ready?
So, Number is kind of a milestone in my career because it's also, this movie got me, the movie I got last year, I got involved in a movie called Hunter Killer in London, which is probably one of the biggest, well, no, it's not probably, it is the biggest thing I've ever been involved in. And it's all thanks to this little project. And this movie literally had no money. We shot the whole movie on a F3 and a 5D, Canon 5D. We matched footage. When Donovan spoke to me in the beginning, it was like, Tom, there's going to be no money. I'm going to edit this movie. You're going to have 2 people to help you. It's going to be one of those. And I want to shoot a look in camera. So we just do something interesting. And what I love about Donovan is he's quite bold and brave. And then often later he looks at me like, really, did we decide on that? But so I've tested a whole bunch of filters. We shot on a Sony F3 with massive zoom lenses. We had one lens, and it was the cheapest lens we can find. It was about this big, and the whole movie's handheld, so I got nice and strong for my wedding afterwards. And and I had filters in front. I think we shot with a tobacco filter. I played a little bit of the camera inside. I tried to record S-Log to a Pix 240 on the camera to get as much information in there as possible. And in the 5D, we just like in the hand was our second camera. And often Donovan would operate it, or Chris Harvey, who was sitting behind the curtains, would operate it. So a lot of the footage was just, I mean, it was a super fun job. It was a tight schedule. It was amazing. And it's one of those jobs that really kicked open a few doors for us. So really happy for the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. Donovan also likes playing with effects, so he'll push cameras to their limits. We played with shutter effects, and we played with pretty much anything you get our hands off. We had a shift and tilt lens, which would only fit on a 5D, so the opening sequence is all shot on that camera because the lens would only fit that camera. And it was like just like no excuses, just here we go, making this movie. And then it ended up in Toronto TIFF and won something, and Donovan got his break and he got Hunter Killer, so that was wonderful. Yeah. Sorry guys, this thing keeps changing. Okay, I'm going to show one more trailer and I'm going to hand over to Manny because I'm sure you guys have got lots of technical questions for Manny. This is one I've done recently. Do you guys want to see another trailer? Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. There's a few to pick, but let's show Hatchet Hour, and then I'm gonna open it all floor to Manny. Thank you.
The city is a dungeon, and you know what rushes through it. Guilty or not, I'm a lawyer. I'm your lawyer. Which means I take secrets to the grave.
This is Hatchet Hour. 6 That's a sacred cow slaughter. Scam's talking about me.
Yeah, save it for the stage. I'm not part of your act.
Everybody's part of my act. Murderers. Do you ever wonder why they run? It'd be smarter just to stay put.
My mom used to say we were two sides of the same coin.
There's something on your face.
It was a guy thing.
See, that's weird because I didn't know you were seeing anyone.
It was a complicated relationship.
No other kind.
What are you trying to do to me? What happened was a mistake, Jade. It shouldn't have happened, but it did.
Respect the dead. Respect the bloody dead. Why? You never respected them when they were alive.
Everybody owes and nobody pays. It's beautiful.
You broke your promise again. What are you and Izzy planning?
I'm not. I'm playing with you, Belle.
You're just as involved as me, Jade. You remember that?
Death is just a permanent out-of-body experience. She's not done.
So Hadget Hour really grabbed me just in terms of how dark it is. So I just thought and I really liked the visual language we ended up using and in a way how it ended up looking. It was an interesting project to be part of. But I just really wanted to explore that world of the thriller and the slow burning candle and the tension and the psyche and all those interesting things which we don't get a lot of scripts like that, so something I wanted to explore and enjoy. Cool, guys. I've got one or two more trailers, but I'm not going to show it. I think I'm going to open the floor to Manny. Manny's a very good lighting gaffer in his country. He's amazing. And we've worked together this year, and I met Manny before, but the first time I worked with him, I was actually operating for Jim Collicott. He's a ASC's American cinematographer member. I got to operate when Villanelle was shooting second unit. And I got to meet Manny. And what struck me about Manny was, which is what I experienced last year in London, was how the technical team takes so much weight off the cinematographer, like his efficiency and how it's just he makes big setups seem effortless, which is incredible to watch. Very few people have that skill, and anyway, so Manny's here for all the technical questions. No, I'm joking. But I'll hand it over. Thanks, guys.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, my staff is not as glamorous as the captains because I'm the co-pilot on every film shoot. So it's just pictures of, like this is a picture on a movie called Cheppy, which I wasn't the main gaffer. There's a gaffer from Cape Town that passed on a few years ago. His name is very well known to some of you. His name was Alan Barnes. He was the main gaffer, but he gave me the opportunity to be his rigger to do lights for him, way before he comes to sets and try and prep ahead. So especially if the picture that's just gone through, sorry about that. We had like a special paint from New Zealand that had to be illuminated with the lights, as you can see it bouncing along the walls and like kind of a disco, those UV light type things, that type of stuff. And I'm sure everyone has seen Cheppy, and it was quite a big experience for me. And like I said before, being a co-pilot is all the lighting that you see as all these pictures keep coming through. It's all that comes around where there's big windows and where everything happens. This is all the kind of stuff that we use. We always kind of behind the scenes. And, some of the lights are up on big machines that we have to prep ahead and have people, you know, and have sound control, as you can see, just to keep consistency in the lighting, because you can't have light changing in a short space of time. And yeah, I mean, like I said, being the co-pilot, I mean, I don't have music or anything. That's mainly their job to do that after all of us behind have, you know, done what they expect us to do. So what I would basically say about being a gaffer on any show, big or small, is I have to envisage his, you know, his vision in the lighting, you know, what he wants, the final product that him and the director want to achieve. And, you know, we have to make sure that technically it happens as speedily as possible and with more efficiency in a way that, you know, would carry on, and there's tight schedules on any film shoot, and you know, I really don't have much to say really, and it's my first time doing this. And yeah, I hope maybe next time I'll be much more prepared. But any technical questions as to, you know, what we do in terms of lighting, and there's other parts of the technical sides that aren't represented that I wouldn't actually mind to talk about. Being a team on a film set, there's grips, there's ladies that do makeup, there's, you know, wardrobe and all those people. We're all a team together. And most of the time I would come on a set as an electrician and put power wherever and boxes and just to get our lights going. And a makeup lady would probably come and just ask for a plug point just to dry hair, and I have to jump in and do that. So, you know, unfortunately, projects are really different in our field. So if you're working on a show like Black Sails, I'll say that I didn't work on it. There's much more money that gets involved where things do happen quick and efficient. You will have 20 technical staff around you that has to be controlled. And, you know, when we move from a setup to the next setup, it all has to be ready on time and without any excuses. But as technicians working with electronics and machines, sometimes it doesn't happen the way that we wish. But then I have to try and answer those questions and shout at the grip, or he shouts back at me, why are you like guys not here with the lights and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's a very challenging industry, you know. As we know, you know, we work with people from overseas and local people, our own people, which makes it all glamorous all the time. And like I said earlier, it all depended on budgets, you know. If Tom asks for 2018 Ks and if there's money for them and we know where we're going to use them, he knows where he's going to use them, we'll make it happen. And sometimes the movie gets awards, sometimes it doesn't. The movie that doesn't have those lights actually normally are the ones that, you know, people get interested in. And mainly, a lot of people don't actually know what happens behind with all of us technicians, which I'm glad for festivals like this, that it brings us all to come and share our experiences behind the scenes, people that never get seen on TV and cinemas. And it's quite a lot of work that we have to do to make sure that they're happy. And the directors, I'm sure there's a lot of directors sitting down here that know actually what we're talking about. So I think more and more of this stuff happening, you know, it helps everybody, and we all learn, and we wish to even help the aspirant youngsters that are coming up, like from City Varsity or wherever kind of institutions after. You know, most people that go there, they want to be directors and producers and everyone else, and they don't know about this field of ours that we working behind the scenes, what we do. So I think without wasting too much time, you can just fire up with questions. I really, like I said, it's the first time doing this, so next time I know what to do. Thank you.
I was actually telling someone over lunch, Slim and Hanneke, that in South Africa we're very privileged. We've got a lot of great technical crews. We got a lot of good cinematographers. We got a lot of good editors. We got a lot of directors. We have always, but we don't always have a lot of good gaffers and a lot of good grips and a lot of, like, they seem to. I don't know what happens. There's very few of them that, and are always busy. That's why I've never been able to work with Manny, because he's just always busy, and it's the guys that come to the game prepared. They're ahead of everybody else. You get to set, they've been there. You get to a location, it's lit, or the stuff standing by. You want to ask for a light. You go like, oh, you know what, Manny, it would be really nice if we can have a 6K, and then you see it rolling in and it's going on, you know, and you're like, wow, that's quite incredible. So there's very few of those people in our industry, which is quite, like Manny says, the film schools are full of our next generation of directors and cinematographers and editors. But I start feeling that our technical guys are running behind, where we don't have enough of those guys that just wants to do this, just want to light movies. That's what I want to do, and I'm passionate about it, and that's what I do for a living, you know, which I think is a bit of a problem. We should address it at some stage, maybe today. But quite so, yeah. Let's. Should we open the floor for questions? Excellent. Does anybody? You can just say for who, and is the gentleman over here?
I would like to ask Manny. Obviously, you work very closely together with the director. I presume so, and the cameraman. How much initiative do you have in your job?
If I may just clear up initiative as in, you know, the beginning of the whole planning of technical stuff, or?
What I'm thinking of your creative input. Do you have creative input? That's what I'm asking.
Yes. To be quite precise, I work mostly in conjunction with the DP. He's, like I said, I'm the co-pilot, so if it goes down, he looks at me and asks me questions. So basically, like, he'll have a color palette for a movie, you know, as to, you know, where you introduce color and reds, where the movie gets, you know, like said, and, you know, you bring all that stuff. And for me, with like my past experience, where in the past there's guys that come over from the States, Germany, wherever in the world, that come in with new technologies that we actually don't have. I kind of, you know, sometimes make it easy for Tom, because I always look at all that stuff and how the lights, how we're gonna, if we have to do like a club scene, then instead of us playing around to try and make lights, you know, like to make and try to convince the audience that this is a club, I have to think, and we sit down together and say, how do we do this? And it's either we bring dimmer boards, or we bring an events company that can do the glamour just around and all that. And whatever else happens, we just add on for the beauty stuff, you know, where you see close-ups and stuff like that. But the initiative is there, but obviously the DP knows what he wants and what colors, and that's how I have to give him all that as quickly as I can. Thank you.
I can add on to that as well, like Manny's saying, like in terms of often a problem has various solutions, and that's where you turn to your technical team and you go like, guys, how do we do this for this much or this much, or this is what we're trying to do. And then like a library of knowledge that Manny has, because he's worked on so many international jobs and things, he just comes up with a lot of options, and you can start picking them, and you can go like, which one's right for this job. And sometimes we don't know what we want, and we just go like, oh, that sounds amazing. Or often Manny will open up a new door of possibilities that you didn't even consider because you didn't know it existed. So yes, I just want to add on to that. Cool, next question. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. May I ask? A question I would like to ask you. You were saying, well, two things. The one thing that you said is, and I could see it, you were making use of a lot of color, or color is very important. I would like to know, in a technical sense, how do you achieve that? You were saying that you are manipulating the camera in a way, not manipulating, tweaking it. It could also be in grading or post-production. What do you need to do when you're on the floor to achieve that in the end?
I think there's a couple of ways of approaching it. Again, I like color on lights mostly, so I would actually physically gel my lights and change the color that the light throws. And then the camera part of it, I would just manipulate it to the point of where I want the color to be, or how I want the camera to see the color. But I'd start at the source, which is for me the light. And then the next phase is through the camera. On a number, we didn't have the luxury of gels. We couldn't afford gels. So I used the filter on the camera just to mess with the overall palette of the film, knowing that afterwards we might desaturate it a bit and up the contrast a bit and stuff like that. But Don made it very clear there's going to be no grading. So it depends. There's two approaches to it. It's through lighting or through camera. You can do either both together or separate.
Right. And is it better to do it while you're shooting, or could post-production handle it?
The difference is, I guess, your stamp on it and what you believe is right for the film. Otherwise, you just do everything in post, which you can do in reality. It just takes a lot longer. But I prefer to say on camera, on the floor, definitely. That's often when you stand there in that environment, you've done all the homework, you know what the movie's about, you know what the scene's supposed to feel like, you know what you want your audience to experience, so you do it right there. And then maybe later you go like, maybe I push it too far or too little, and then maybe enhance it, or you take a little bit away from it. But I've never been in a situation where I've like, let's change that yellow to purple, Yes.
Hello, Don.
Hello, Quinn.
So, just for interest's sake, I wanted to know what were your shooting ratios on your international compared to what you've had in South Africa, and what affected the shooting ratios?
Oh, that's a lovely question. So it's funny enough, I saw a Facebook post the other day from Dani Bakhat 10 years ago, which was my first movie, and we had a polyboard and 2 lights and a HDV camera and very little time and no money, and the biggest problem we had was time, I guess, in the end of the day. And last year we had all the money, and guess what our same problem was? Was time. So time it looks like it's just a thing. I don't know. There's where you save it over here, something else takes it, and there's so many variables on sets. So our shooting ratio on a day could have been half a page to 6 pages. So it varied. It wasn't like a 3-page limit or something like that. It depended. If it was like a 2-hander and we were in a room the whole day, it could easily be pushed up to 6 pages. Yeah. Not every day though. Yes, next question.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Congratulations with your success.
Hello, Mornay.
I just wanted to know, you were touching on cameras earlier when you were speaking about shooting with in number with different cameras and lenses. How much do you think, working now on an international job, we have a little bit more budget to play with and have more toys? How much do you think, how important is it to not look or like make the cameras be in the way of what you want to achieve visually if you can't have what you want? So the camera equipment or lighting equipment that the budget allows, how important is the tools compared to the right kind of attitude? Because a lot of your success has been based on just a great attitude. So can you just share that with us?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I don't think cameras have anything to do with it. As a matter of fact, I think we're in a wonderful place where technology has fought this battle for us, and great cameras are now more affordable, and we can shoot on Alexas, and we can shoot on Reds, and we can shoot on 8K and 6K and all these wonderful formats. But at the end of the day, people don't go watch a movie for what format it was shot on or what camera it was shot on. They go to look at the movie for the way it was, the story was told, and the story and the characters. So I don't think cameras have. I mean, you can go out now and shoot a movie on a 5D, which is ancient, and if it's amazing story and amazing content, it will travel and it will be watched and it will be appreciated. And I think we often look too hard into gotta shoot on this lens and gotta shoot on this camera, and I think it's nice to have, and it's obviously we'll fight for the best quality at the moment because now we've done it and we know what's possible. But I don't think it's absolutely not a must, or I wouldn't say it has anything to do with it actually. Does that answer your question?
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Manny, I've actually got a question for you. Just with the ideas of how lighting is changing and how technology is affecting us. I mean, I remember talking to you years ago about how you had to come up with interesting lighting ideas for one of the shows you were working on. So something that I often battle with when I'm shooting is to be able to have control and have access to multiple colors and whatnot. And that generally becomes quite expensive with, like Tom was saying, not having access to gels. Obviously, we're seeing more and more LEDs and sky panels and whatnot, which have the access to incredible colors without having to cut huge amounts of gels. But does that help you? I mean, is that a cost-saving factor? I would think it is, but in actual reality on set, are you saving money by having less gels and the ability to change colors on set and time? Does that help?
Hi, Devin. Absolutely, especially with the new sky panels that come with the gels incorporated in them. So it means, I mean, a gel would cost normally like anything from 150 to 1,000 rand a meter of a gel. It depends what gel it is. So the sky panel to rent for a day is like massive too. But if you look at the costs of hiring a sky panel and actually gelling 10 lights, then you're actually kind of saving, and it's less damages because you don't have to run around putting lights and stuff like that. So it is technology, LED, just like you say, like you said now, the LEDs are the way to go, where it's more time and efficiency, where if you don't have to plug in a cable and have 10 lights around and run on batteries, and yeah, that's the new way to go. Basically, I've even got an example here of a light that runs off a V-Log. Thanks, boss. This is a light from, it's actually French technology, which is not as high-tech as the sky panel, but much more, you can change by color, and you can put you know, like chimeras and crates to cut the light so it doesn't go all over the walls, and you can actually play much more with the lights these days. If you look maybe 30 years ago, there had to be like a huge light that's almost the size of the screen where there's like 20 people that had to operate a light like that. So if you can run around with stuff like this these days, I think it is the new way to go.
And Manny, do you offer things up like that on some of your jobs? Or Tom, would that be something that you'd be bringing up, rather having 20 sky panels on a job than, I don't know, a couple of 5Ks and a bag of gels?
I think, like Tom said earlier, sometimes he has to sit down at home and be on the internet and look at new cameras and stuff like that. And I also have to play my part and do the same with the lighting. So as you can see, this light is like probably not many people know what it is. We're all about ARI and there's lots of other new people out there. This is a French invention that, you know, you can actually hang this light wherever and you can operate it with your phone with an app, and you can actually link 20 lights around, and you can just have and just switch that one off, switch that one on, 50% on this, and you can shoot 360 and switch the lights off and on and keep the direction of the light as, you know, in continuity.
And I guess it comes down to, like, LEDs are getting cheaper and cheaper, but it is a bit of at the moment, it's still a little bit expensive. So, like, tungsten is still the cheapest way to go. But then there's an upside, like tungsten also needs big generators, and generators need operators, and operators is cables, and there's petrol, and there's other costs. So like Manny was saying, it's like you've got one light here that runs off a battery. So you can cut down on your manpower, you can cut down on certain other elements where you can maybe save money and then afford a few of these. So it starts becoming an interesting juggle of what you need for the project and what's possible. Some places you can't get a generator to, so then LEDs are amazing. Other places you've got house power, you've got 3-phase, so you can just plug and go. And then, you know, I guess it's like I said, it's just every problem has a couple of solutions, so it's just which one is the best. Thanks, Devin.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to know, do we as directors and managers on set actually give the technical team enough time to do their art on set and also pre-production, especially gaffer and sound, and I want to include makeup in that as well, because I sometimes feel that makes or breaks a movie or a scene, and I just want to know, do we actually give the technical team enough time to do it? Because it sometimes feel, you know, we just worry about the director, the DP or the actor, and sometimes I feel, you know, they have to be very rushed.
That's a good question, actually. It's partly to do with, I don't know exactly, can't put my finger on it. But when I was in London last year, what happened a lot, and I know they've got money and they could throw money at the problem, is technical had to be as less time consuming as possible. So a lot of it happened beforehand. So you would get to set and there was a crew the day there before you prepping things. So when you walk in, they want to give a director and an actor as much time as possible. So that your setups, I sometimes had massive setups and had like 10 minutes because it was supposed to be done and thought of and ready. So it's like, cool, we're now shooting this way and it's going to be 100 people and it's going to be like this and, you know, and there's explosions and things and you've got 10 minutes to light a Tom go. And then, you know, luckily you're in a place where I was around with a great technical team, not Manny, but guys like Manny that were there, we planned it weeks in advance and it's just like lights went on and it was done and it was ready. And you want to give, and I guess this is also a thing, I feel sometimes the technical departments in South Africa, we take a lot of time up, which is sad because I feel like we don't give our directors enough time to play and our cast enough time to play in front of the cameras. Instead, we take a lot of time laying tracks, lighting sets, and partly it's because we didn't have that environment or that infrastructure of having a team that moves ahead of you and a team behind you that raps as you go, which is sad, I guess. So it's a bit of a, it's a difficult one. I don't know exactly. Ideally, you have a team ahead of you. You come in with your cast. You've got very little time, or you need very little time to do anything. And you give your director and cast as much time as possible. And then when you leave, there's a team behind you that cleans up. And often in America, that's your second unit also. Then they do pickups. So they shoot all the close-ups on the boots and phone coming out of a pocket and those things you don't do on your day. You just focus on your money, which is the big cost. So do we give our technical teams enough time? I think nobody has enough time here. Not cast, not director, not technical. I wish we could find a way of figuring that out. And I think our quality would go through the roof if we do, you know. Next question. Manny, do you want to add something to that?
I think you've answered it all.
On that note of time, how involved do you want to be as a DOP in blocking? Would you like to be a fly on the wall while the director blocks the scene, or do you like to be called in afterwards and told this is how it's playing out, put the camera here, this is what we're doing, or do you like to sit there, see how it's going to play out, say maybe we can play it out by the window rather, or, you know, how involved do you like to be in the blocking?
I like to be involved in the blocking. That's a short answer for it. I guess in the end, if your cinematographer is not involved in a blocking and you're relying on him to lens and to light and to make this film for you, you're really kind of cutting one of his legs off. So you won't be able to be as much as he can be for you because you're depriving him of something. I do believe that there's a space that needs to be created for blocking, so director and cast can play and stuff, and then at some stage you can, like you say, go over to director and whisper in his ear and say, like, you know, like, I don't think it will change much, but if we just shuffle this a little bit over to here, the lighting would be like more right for the scene, and it will help us here and here and here. And so you do like to be involved in the blocking. And then also like blocking on set, and also like a lot of times you go into a scene that gets blocked by the director and actors, and you and the director have probably had a conversation about the blocking already. So you already kind of have an idea, and he knows you have an idea. The two of you have an idea of how something's going to play out. And then, so normally you're actually on the same page, hopefully. If not, it's a different story. But that's a great place to start, is that you both go in with the same idea. The cast plays, the idea changes, it grows, it evolves, and then you lock it down. Does that answer your question? Okay, there's one more question.
Yeah, I was just wondering to what extent the shift towards shooting in S-Log and Log C has changed your process, and along with that, have you had to learn how to use DaVinci Resolve, and do you create your own LUTs for scenes and that kind of stuff?
I haven't really created a lot for my own scenes as of yet. I found that I've got a lot that's slightly more crushed. So what's hard for me is in the beginning it was like this: what do you expose for? How do you look at a scene? Do you look at S-Log? Do you look at Log C, and then expose for that? And then afterwards you realize, oh, that's actually really a bad idea, because you have all the information right in front of you, so you don't get your contrast ratios, and you want your contrast ratios, right? So on set, so you can know, I need to manually, let's back off that light, let's do this, let's do that, let's shape this and let's mold this. And to have that, you need to have a LUT. And most people use Rec 709. I even use Rec 709 a lot of times. And then sometimes I've got a LUT that's slightly more crushed, a bit more contrasty, just to, if I know I'm going to go that route, just to make sure there's enough light where I need it, so I don't lose that information later. Does that answer your...
Yeah, no, it does. Thanks.
Yeah. Gwen?
So there's been okay, there we go. Editors on set. I'm obviously going to ask post-production questions. Editors on set. I mean, there's some people want the editor to be on set. Some editors prefer not to be on set. I mean, I have my own opinion about it. What, as a camera or as a DOP, do you have a preference? Does it help to have an editor on set, or what workflow have you found helps you in your process?
That's a good question. I found that there's been times where you wish you could turn around and talk to an editor, and you go like, guys, is this working? You're trying something interesting, you're trying a montage, you're trying something, and you want to know if the flow's right, and you wish someone could just quickly put it together and have a look with you. So there's been moments like that. I don't know if it's like every day, but yes, definitely. At some stages, there's moments where you go like, I wish I could talk to an, like, and often you go back to scenes, or you do pickups, or you do something, like you realize if we had an editor here, we could have maybe solved this. But no, I'm not like, I don't know, like I'm not, like there's been a moment or two.
There's like a trend that now, I mean, that editors cut while the shoot is busy happening. That's kind of generally a good idea to go, because then we can say, you know, this is working or this is not.
And it's great.
Set is sometimes an issue, I think, for us to be on set and seeing what's they actually affect how we sort of would cut something, because we're involved in what's happening on set. So I think does that workflow work for you in terms of us cutting at the same time as you guys are busy?
Yeah, I think it's great if you guys are a few days or a day or so behind us while we're shooting, so that especially if you're in a location for more than 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, and you go like, fuck Tom, I really need a shot of that light switch, otherwise the scene's buggered, and then we can still get it before we wrap a location and move on. So, I mean, there's those benefits, absolutely. All for a better movie. Yes. Hi, how's it going?
Just maybe to continue the question about lights and looks and things. I was just interested in particular. I'm not sure how much you're allowed to say, but so a lot of times maybe in a AC magazine or online or whatever, you read about these bigger films, like, you know, for example, the one you worked on now, that that producers want to maybe see, they want to see the final looks, you know, know what it's going to be, you know, closer to, like on set and so. So basically, just wondering about the workflow, like on set, like, were you kind of forced to use a DIT, maybe doing live grading, and were they like, did you need to shoot tests and then take it to the facility and try and get close to a final look, so that that stuff could be fed down to on-set monitors, etc. You know, so that they, because it always seems like the bigger those shows get, you know, it's more and more eyes and more control and more cooks in the kitchen maybe, but and just more pressure in terms of, you know, the budgets and what you can deliver to, or did you decide to just keep it simple, strip it down, and have more the approach of, you know, what you're creating with your lighting on set and ratios, etc., and you know what you're working towards, and that's, you know, your approach? And I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah, so there's definitely more eyes on you. I shot tests of certain locations. We didn't have all our locations when in pre-prod. So we had a half submarine, so I could shoot some of a submarine. So I lit it the way I wanted to light it, and I insisted on that test because I also wanted to know how I was going to do it. So I hid my lights and I did my things, and I played with color temperatures, and I had a whole day with a stand-in and my gaffer and my camera team, and we shot some tests, and we looked at color temperatures, and I had a dit with me, and we looked at some grades and things, and then I went over very chuffed to the director, and I was like, look at all these beautiful images. And he was like, and what is this? And I was like, this is like, you know, I'm thinking we're going to shoot on this LUT. And he was like, no, don't show me that now. Like, I first want to make the movie, then I'll worry about this. So it all depends, you know. Then the producers would turn around and go like, hey, Tom, you know, like, Gerard's looking a bit old. Like, you know, can you do something? Can we? So then you start figuring things out, and that happened while you're shooting. So it's like always changing. I wanted to do a test shoot of the leads, but they weren't available. So I had to figure it out as we were going. But sometimes you do get a test shoot of your lead, or they insist on it if they don't know you. They'll go like, I want a test shoot, see what I'm going to look like.
So I mean, in a way, it sounds like it's still fairly organic, and it's kind of like a combination of like sort of best of both, or maybe like the approach you used to, and kind of being let loose to do your thing, and then later, it's not like you're not worrying about later, but it's not too forced like on set in terms of.
No, it wasn't
this
too
needs
forced.
to be like 95% final kind of in-camera look feel.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, it wasn't like that at all. And that's the approach that the director wanted, and that I embraced, and we went with that.
And obviously, you guys also used to working that way. And
yeah, it was like he had a very good idea of this is where you can go with it, but also like I worked with a director that's very technical sound, so he knew immediately. He looked at the image and was like, I can do stuff with this. I can, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't sitting there going like, oh, what am I looking at? He knew, But I guess every project's going to be different. We also had a lot of VFX. So like every third shot had a green screen element or something in it. So there was a constant VFX. So there was all these eyes on everything all the time. And you were like sometimes, and we were shooting multiple cameras. So you were pulled in different directions. So it was quite intense.
If I can maybe slip in one more, sorry. I was just interested in which lenses you used for the project, and I don't know if there was a specific reason that you maybe chose them.
Yeah, we shot on the minis, the Alexa minis, open gate, because of how versatile and tough they are. And it's one of my favorite cameras, just in terms of what they look like at the end, the images, the density of it. And then we shot our zoom lenses with the Ingenuus Optimos. We did quite a bit of like what we saw in number, where a little bit of reframing in shots and kept it quite dynamic. And then for the kind of the more classical part of the shoot, I shot on Cook S4s for the American stuff and the Pentagon stuff, and yeah, just to create different worlds. Cool. I'm getting a thing that this is over. It's been a pleasure. You guys were awesome. Thank you. Cool. Well, we'll be by the bar if anybody has more questions. No, you are.